Look at Eleanor. She's so sweet. And Buddy is up in his tube up there. I wish they were napping with me. Yes, Buddy, I know. Oh, you're a good cat, Eleanor. Eleanor, you're sitting on the toy. Let go of the toy. Get up. You're sitting on the toy. Oh, you know it. And you know it. Okay. Enjoy your rest. Hello. Hi, Eleanor. Did you know I was allergic to cats? Hi, buddy. Hey. Meow. Good morning. Hi, Eleanor. Oh, you're all fluffy. You're like a bowl of ice cream, you. Such a good cat. Such a good cat. Whoop, whoop. Give me your belly. Give me your belly. Hi. Who's this? Who's this little boy in my bed? Only boy that's ever in my bed. And they usually look this excited too. Yeah, that's all right. I got you. Oh, yeah. I got your butt. Yeah. All right. I need to eat some lunch. I'll see you soon. Hey guys, how are ya? Welcome back to my channel. It's me, Steven. Happy Vlogmas Day 8. It is 4:17 in the afternoon, and it has been a perfect, lovely, quiet, boring, peaceful day in the I can't even say my own last name, the Pereira household. How many people struggle saying my last name? I can't say it sometimes. But it's been a very peaceful day here. I am not in the mood to go out looking for excitement in Las Vegas. That's my goal, really, to stay away from excitement in Las Vegas. So I figured I'd do a little question and answer video because you guys have asked a lot of great questions. I love listening to flight attendant question and answer videos, and I certainly enjoy doing them myself. So I hope you enjoy this as well. I've received a ton of really, really good questions. I will apologize if you hear the sound of traffic. It's almost rush hour here. I live on a very busy street right outside the front of the house, but I have the front door open with a security grate so the cats can't get out because the cats really enjoy the fresh air, as fresh as it can be in Las Vegas. Plus, they like to look outside without a window between them and the outside. So when it's warm enough, I leave the door open. So I apologize if you hear traffic. So let's get some questions answered, shall we? Now, this one's from Daniel. Daniel's a frequent flyer on my channel. He asks a lot of great questions. So Daniel asks, can you still, if you have a cold, can you still fly? Now, I'm going to answer that in terms of both as a passenger and a flight attendant. This touches on my last video, if you saw that, where we had to remove a passenger who was visibly ill. The passengers around her noticed that she was ill in the gate area as well as on the plane. The passenger said to my coworker she had the flu. Goodbye. See ya. Bye. We'll see you on the next flight. But can we fly if we're sick? Now, as a passenger, if you're visibly ill with something that's obviously contagious, no, you can't fly. If you get past me and I see that you're ill on board and we're already up in the air and you're not wearing a mask, I'm going to get a mask out of a biohazard kit and ask that you wear the mask. And if I can isolate you from other people, I'm going to do that. The HEPA filter in the aircraft filters the air to a amazing degree. Every 3 minutes that cabin air is filtered. So if I isolate you, you're wearing a mask, that's as best as I can do if we're already in the air. If we're on the ground and that door is open, we're going to say goodbye to you for now, and we'll see you on the next flight when you're feeling better. It's rude, let me say this to everybody, it's rude to fly sick as a passenger and as a flight attendant. But why do flight attendants call out sick? Why do they fly sick? Number one, we get points for when we're call out sick. Now, in the States at least, I'm not sure about other airlines, we aren't penalized, the airline says, but we get points or something like a point that will accumulate over the course of a 12-month period. And if you acquire enough points, you could get in trouble, even be terminated. Now, a lot of flight attendants with chronic issues will have FMLA. Is that family medical leave something? To protect their jobs. But I don't have FMLA. I don't need it. There's no reason for me to have it. And I'm not going to get it because whatever. That's a whole different issue. But yeah, so you can get in trouble or terminated if you acquire too many points. So a lot of flight attendants, if they have points, will fly sick because they don't want to lose their jobs. It's still kind of rude, and I still would like that person to wear a mask and let me know that I might want to wear a mask. But yeah, it does happen. What are reasons you should not fly sick? First off, the morality of it. Don't get other people sick. It's just rude. It's not polite. Secondly, it could be dangerous for you in that if your eardrums are blocked, if your eustachian tube, which is the area, like the tube that runs between the inner throat here and the inner ear to equalize pressure, if that's blocked, you're going to be in enormous amounts of pain, potentially damaging your hearing. Do you want to risk being hearing impaired because you want to fly to Las Vegas? No. Your sinuses, oh my goodness, if your sinuses are blocked, you have a sinus infection, it could be, I mean, indescribably painful and dangerous. So you just don't do it. So can you fly when you're sick? Yeah, but you're going to pay for it and you're going to make other people suffer. No pressure. Don't fly sick. Traffic, sorry. Flight attendant Flipper said, what are my thoughts on offering an early, what are my thoughts on the offer of early retirement packages and what's the status of our merger? Our company, the CEO, just sent out an email recently letting us know that early retirement, early out packages are available for salaried employees. Now, I shouldn't speak negatively about my airline or the CEO or the wording of his email because I love my company and I respect them in many ways. But this email was worded in a way that seemed to kind of be, inspire some people to be afraid. But the word salaried employee does not mean me or my coworkers as flight attendants. We're not salaried. So why that email was sent to us, I think was kind of an inspiration to encourage someone who can retire to maybe possibly retire. I didn't really appreciate that email myself, but because the way it was worded, maybe it was innocent. But if it's possible that you can retire with the benefits that you want, because you can retire, but you may not get your flight benefits as a retiree for a certain amount of time. It's a certain number of years of service plus a certain age to get to be a retiree, but also a certain number to get your flight benefits as a retiree. So if you can do that and you're in a financial position to do so, you have financial support, you have another job, it might be a great option for you. I'm going to be able to retire roughly at the age of 99 because I did not plan on living this long or needing to ever possibly retire. So I'm going to have to work until I can't lift a suitcase. My thoughts on the merger. Oh, what's the status of the merger? I don't know. I know that I think the court case is over. I think the judge will make his decision in the very near future. The odds are it's going to happen. Am I happy about it? No. Do I have any control? No. Do I have any power? No. Do I have any choices? No. Am I going to stay where I am? Yes. Would I leave if I were 22 years old and had other options? I don't know. But at 54, almost 55, I really don't have any choices. I'm not going to start over again in another airline with losing half of my income, basically, with all of my position in the airline. Yeah, so no, I'm not leaving anywhere. My thoughts on it, I think you have an idea there. Leslie asks, do we get used to people getting sick on flights? Does the sound/smell trigger us? I'll speak personally. The sound of someone getting sick in a lavatory next to me does not trigger me. I feel sympathy. I feel very bad for them. I hate to throw up. Oh my goodness. I've only thrown up once, probably in the last 15 years. And it's one of the things that I just detest the most about my physical body. I mean, throwing up is the worst. But hearing someone else throw up, I just have sympathy for them. I feel bad. I mean, I might have these moment of, oh, wow, that's horrible. I feel so bad for them. But the sound doesn't bother me. The smell most often doesn't trigger me either. But there are times it's quite fragrant. And it's a lot. Sometimes there have been times it's like, wow, that's just, it's invasive, you know. But for the most part, you get used to it. You really do get used to it. It happens often enough that we're used to it. I usually just give someone a plastic bag tied at the corners. I tie the corners at the bottom in little knots so the bag doesn't leak, because that would not be pleasant. Give them that. I'll give them some napkins, and sometimes I'll give them some water as well, because you want to blow your nose afterwards and kind of rinse your mouth out, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, it doesn't trigger me at all. It might for other people. What really will trigger me, what will really trigger me is if someone gets sick and there's a bit of an aroma. That's one thing. Honestly, it's a human bodily thing. Honestly, you can get used to it. But then someone will choose to spray Bath and Body Works orchid or lavender or the worst, warm cashmere on top of that acrid bodily. That will get me. I'd rather honestly just handle the natural smell, which will go away very quickly, than have that artificial on top of the organic. Could I be more descriptive? So there you go. Let's see. But you can call me Sam. Asks, why do flight attendants sit on their hands during takeoff and landing? Well, we have brace positions. Now, when we're in training, we have to learn our emergency commands. So if we were going to land in a somewhat controlled but not planned manner, if you know what I'm talking about, we would be in a physical position that would stop our arms from hopefully flying around or being injured, maybe reduce, this is my theory because they've never told us, reducing our area of, you know, body being exposed to potential flying objects or you know, projectiles. I would assume that is the reason we would be in our brace position. Our brace position used to be feet flat, knees at an angle, feet flat before us, head back if you're in the front of the aircraft, head forward a little bit if you're in the back, so that, you know, whiplash if we were to stop suddenly. And our hands used to go under our thighs. Again, I think that would be to help control the amount of area that would be affected by a, I won't say crash, but something like that. But now our drill position is hands flat, palms flat on top of our knees. I do not know why that was changed. I can't imagine it would be an enormous departure from reality if our hands were on top of our legs or not. But that is why. Oh, so and in the end, it's to help keep us safe and free of physical harm after an event, potentially, so that I can then help other people and assist my passengers to exit or evacuate safely. How's that for an answer? I hope that was helpful. I didn't think of how I would answer that, but that's how I answered it. Let's see. 912 Chris, what can flight attendants do when someone's unruly on a plane mid-flight? Now that's a great question. Now I've never really had to. Have I? No, I just about lied to you. I have had to stop something that was happening on the aircraft once, but it was during deplaning, which is a question somebody else asked me earlier that I was going to read in a moment. So if it's mid-flight and there is someone who is being disruptive, now our first choice, our first step is going to be to go over and try to diffuse the situation, de-escalate. Hey, hi, what's going on? You know, if it's a verbal issue or there's a slight physical issue going on, a confrontation, an argument, we're going to try and defuse the situation. If it's an argument between two different people, my first thought is to, before defusing, separate. Move one person to the aft galley, maybe away from other passengers, and the other maybe in their seat if they're not being, you know, physically confrontational. I'm going to try and separate two people to try and defuse that first. And then I'm going to verbally try to say, hey, what's going on? How can we, you know, how can we make this a little bit nicer of an experience? Or my phrase lately has been, let's bring the energy level down just a little bit so we can figure out how best to solve the situation. You know, again, you want to use a pleasant voice, but there is a point where you have to show some commanding direction as well, and not just being a total pushover. So yeah, I would separate two different people. If something got really hugely physical, I would have to ask for my coworkers and any able-bodied assistance on the aircraft. And that's a passenger that I've seen when they were boarding, because we look at every single one of you. If you look physically healthy, you look like you're not with little children, you don't have any babies with you, or elderly or any special needs person with you. If you look like a firefighter, a police officer, a wrestler, I'm gonna keep you in mind. So if something happens mid-flight, I can call upon you and say, hey, could you help me out here and, you know, restrain this passenger, or however I have to, or whatever. So if it gets physical, we can maybe, you know, ask for assistance. We have something called flex cuffs on board. They're basically giant human-sized zip ties. We could use those if it were required. We're trained to use those. We're trained to use them, but also correctly, because there's wrong ways to use those things. If you do it too tight, you could cut off circulation to that person. They could potentially lose a limb, you know. So there's ways of using them properly. I think we can only technically use them if we have the cutters on board. I think that's true, but I'll have to look that up for recurrent in March. Yeah, so there's lots of ways we could address it. My first choice is to, if it's an argument or confrontation on board, separate the people who are upset and remove them from being a possibility of injuring other people. You'll see lots of YouTube videos of passengers fighting on my airline, other airlines, climbing over seats to attack other passengers. You'll see all sorts of stuff on board. And I physically am, and this is the question I think that was really aiming at, am I physically going to get involved with a physical confrontation? I am going to do my best to not jump into the fray, other than to pull someone else off another passenger. That's what I'm probably going to try to limit my physical. Am I going to jump between two passengers? Probably not, unless it looks like they're obviously going to injure people between them. then I'm probably going to jump in. I have the benefit of being 6'2", 240 pounds, fairly strong. So honestly, I'm less afraid of being injured than I would be if I were 5'1" and 119 pounds. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that was an answer to the question, but that's how I'm going to answer it today. Let's see. Danielle, how do you stay awake on red eyes? Well, I think I may have touched on this in the past. I try to take a nap during the day to give myself a bit of a running start and staying awake for later. I'm not going to eat a heavy meal before the flight. I'm probably going to snack. I will do my best to maybe have a cup of coffee, not too much so I don't get like wired and then crash mid-flight, but I'll try to have a cup of coffee. I'll have a Diet Coke or two on board. Try to stay active on the aircraft and chatting with a coworker, doing my aisle walks, chatting with passengers, just doing my job, honestly. Playing little games. We have Sudoku and some word game, Wordscapes or something on our tablets we can play. Read a book. But my preferred way of staying awake on red eyes is just interacting with my passengers, my coworkers. And last case, worst case, I did talk about this, I'm sorry, because I mentioned Jet Alert. I have a bottle of caffeine in my bag, and someone said in reply to that, like, it's funny, I'm a flight attendant on a jet, taking Jet Alert, blah, blah, blah. So that's how I handle staying awake on red eyes. This video is 19 minutes and 41 seconds so far. Let's answer one more question. Let me look for a good one. Hold on one sec. Aha. This is another Daniel question. There's actually two questions here, I think. When traveling for pleasure, do I need to wear my uniform? I don't travel for pleasure very often. It's very rare. In fact, I don't remember the last time I flew for pleasure. I honestly think the last time I flew when I didn't need to was back in 2021. I know, when I went to visit my brother's, where my brother passed away, where my brother died, if you saw that video. I think, honestly, that's the last time I flew for pleasure. I don't know. But do I have to wear my uniform? No. Is it easier to wear my uniform? I was planning on taking a vacation a few months ago, and I was going to wear my uniform through security because in uniform, I do not have the requirements, the same requirements that passengers do. Even if I get randomed for security, I can still carry large bottles of liquids or, shower gels or fragrances or whatever. I can carry food, my lunch bag, my food bag full of food, full of ice, full of liquids, sodas, bottles of water. I can carry pretty much anything I want. There are limits for like dry ice and alcohol over a certain volume and blah, blah, blah. But as a flight attendant in uniform, I'm not held to the same minimum requirements as passengers are. So as a flight attendant, I can just walk through KCM, known crew member, as long as I'm not going international. If I'm going international for pleasure, in uniform or not, I have to go through regular security. But, and that's in the United States. I'm not sure about other countries if they have something like KCM. But are there other benefits to being in uniform? There are I'd say flight attendants in general are probably kinder and nicer to our own kind if we know that you're a flight attendant. Walking on an aircraft in casual clothes, business casual, with my lanyard, I might be treated nicely. Oh, you're a flight attendant. Great. Can I get you a bottle of water or something? If I'm in uniform, full-on uniform, a flight attendant might be more aware, and the other people I did not meet already, the other crew I have not already met when boarding, might recognize me even just sitting down. Oh, hey, how are you? Welcome aboard. Can I get you something? So it might be a nicer experience. Would I be upgraded to a better seat? I don't know, but possibly. If I'm in uniform, I'm more obviously part of the same family as aviation workers. Do I pay? And would I travel in uniform? Again, if I'm trying to carry things I wouldn't be able to carry through regular TSA, I'd probably wear my uniform. Honestly, it just makes the whole experience easier. Then I would change into casual clothes once I arrived at my destination. Do I pay anything or just get on? So, if I am traveling for pleasure and I'm traveling domestically, I do have to book myself a ticket, sort of a non-rev ticket. So it's really like one of the last people on the plane. If there's a seat, that's what I'm trying to say. If you have space available, I still have to book myself a ticket. I'm space available, so if there's an open seat, I can get on. I can't just walk up to the gate and go, hey, let me on. Although I think there are places we do have to actually just go to the gate instead of book a ticket, I think. I don't do it very often. But you can't just like walk on the plane. You have to sort of book a non-rev spot there. And if I'm traveling internationally, we have Z fares, which means basically I pay taxes, but I may not pay for the ticket. So if I want to go to New Zealand, for example, and taxes are maybe $90, I would pay those $90 to get to New Zealand, but I wouldn't have to pay for the ticket, so to speak. I'm really not the best person to talk about traveling non-rev since I do it so infrequently. Are there times I think I just want to have lunch in Chicago and just go? No longer, but when I first started this job, literally within the first 9 months, because that's when I found Buddy and my desire to travel kind of died right about then. I used to fly from Las Vegas to Atlanta to see my friends in Atlanta, but really more specifically to get a falafel bowl in Midtown. There was a place, there was a place in Midtown Atlanta that I forget the name of it. It starts with a B. That had the best falafel bowl, and it was addictive. And there were, it happened maybe once or twice. I literally flew to Atlanta, ostensibly, really honestly, I wanted to see my friends, but really it was to get a falafel bowl. Do I have those cravings to travel now? Sometimes I want to just fly off to Seattle for the day as a day trip, but our flights, I got a cat hair right here. Our flights to Seattle or San Diego or Portland, they don't fly with such frequency that I can just fly there in the morning and then fly back later on that afternoon. So it's not that convenient. But yeah, you can just get up and go. A lot of people do. I think that's it now. We got 26 minutes on the clock here. So I'm going to thank you for joining me and spending this time with me today. I hope I answered one or two of your questions with some accuracy or interest. I'll do this again sometime soon. Tomorrow, if you join me tomorrow, I picked up a one-day trip. I don't know why I did this. It's a credit of 5 hours, but I'm gone from base for like 11 hours. It's a 4-leg day worth 5 hours credit. I do not know why I picked this up. It's time and a half, but 5 hours at time and a half, is that worth? I don't know. We'll see. But I'll be filming that tomorrow. So I'll see you then. All right? Have a great night. Fly safe. Bye.